All right, welcome. This is Space Summary for the week of September 20 to September 26, where we cover all topics space and technology. Let's start with our first information. So, we have a quick time lapse of the Starlink satellite deployment, just to show you in roughly about 30 seconds how quick Elon Musk and SpaceX have been able to get their satellites up. So it starts off at September 2019 and goes by really quickly. Look at those satellites build up and build up and build up. Almost makes Elon Musk seem like a evil villain in like one of the Bond movies. Yeah, you see them really covering the entire globe now. And this only goes up until February of 2024. So let's go back to our slide. And really related to that, airlines are starting to offer Wi-Fi via Starlink. So a couple weeks ago, United Airlines announced that for about 1,000 of their planes, they're gonna transition from geostationary connectivity offered currently by Panasonic, Intelsat, Theos, and Viasat to Starlink, and they plan to do that for more than about 1,000 planes. Similarly, just yesterday, Air France announced that they're going to transition their entire fleet, which is about 200 planes, over to Starlink starting next year. And Hawaiian Airlines have also done sort of a similar announcement. They're now owned by Alaska Airlines. Now, on to the next piece of news. A recent study has found that bacteria on the International Space Station is evolving. So they're adapting to harsh conditions like radiation and low gravity and developing traits such as enhanced DNA repair and antibiotic resistance. Some strains show potential to become harmful as they can form biofilms that resist disinfectants that are commonly used in space programs and evade immune responses. Scientists suggest closely monitoring these bacteria to protect astronauts' health, especially during those long missions that we anticipate for Mars and beyond. On to the next news. We have Cards Against Humanity suing SpaceX, of all people. So, back on September 19, they filed asking for $15 million in damages over alleged trespassing concerns in the Texas county of Cameron. So back in 2017, the adult party game Cards Against Humanity, they actually bought this land on the U.S.-Mexico border to block the former president Donald Trump from building that border wall. And SpaceX allegedly went onto their land and started doing some work. That's what their land looks like now. So you can see, obviously, a lot of changes have occurred as SpaceX was working with the land and modifying it to make their facilities bigger and better. On to the next news. Deep Blue Aerospace, they suffer an early engine cutoff. Let's go over to our video to show you exactly what I mean. So this is a Chinese company, and here we go. So that is a Chinese company, Deep Blue Aerospace. That's their test vehicle Nebula. They did a 1.5 kilometer hop and faced an early engine cutoff on its landing attempt. The result, of course, was catastrophic, as you saw, but it's really amazing footage, and they're attempting to become a Falcon 9 competitor. In other news, Soyuz MS-25. It undocked from the International Space Station on September 23rd, and about 2.5 hours later landed in Kazakhstan. And on it, it was carrying two Russian astronauts. The first is Oleg. I'm not going to be able to pronounce his last name, but he is on the left. He's 60 years old, and he established a new record after landing back on Earth. He spent just about 1,111 days in space, and that's across 5 space missions. And his colleague on the right, Nikolai Chubb, he is 40 years old, and he spent 374 days in space across just that one mission that he went on. So they both went up together and they both came down together. And their mission that they spent in space was actually the third longest space flight mission to date. So you can see in the chart here, the longest was also by another Russian. It was just under 438 days. Then it was a second mission was by another Russian at just under 380 days, and this one was just under 374. So establishing records in terms of time and space. And Oleg, the astronaut that we featured on the left, he is actually the number one astronaut that spent the most amount of time in space. And as you can tell from this list, it's heavily Russian dominated, which explains a little bit about the requirement why NASA has their astronauts learn Russian to be able to better communicate with their counterparts when they're based on the ISS, on the International Space Station. How does Nikolai Chubb compare to Oleg? Nikolai Chubb is number 47 on this list, and that's after doing only one mission. So cheers to him. In other news, on September 20th, SpaceX lifted their Flight 5 Super Heavy booster to roughly catch height on their tower that they have down in Texas. And that's quite a sight. That's what it should be looking like on the day that they tried to do their launch and catch, which is expected to be in November. It was supposed to be in September. However, due to FAA deadlines and issues with their, licenses, they are unfortunately pushed back to November, even though this flight has been ready since September, ready to launch. 3 days later, on September 23rd, they completed a full stack. So they put the Starship on top of the Super Heavy booster, and they did a propellant load and, of course, pre-flight checks, and that's in preparation for their launch anticipated for November. Another image that Elon Musk shared, and this is from their previous flight. So they actually recovered pieces of their Starship Super Heavy booster from Flight 4. And Elon Musk calls it a fixer-upper, and he also said that it looks like the ruins of a futuristic long-dead civilization. Obviously, they're trying to recover all the pieces that they can to learn more about the ship's performance and how they can make it better and improve on it. In other news, Blue Origin has completed the second stage hot fire test, and that's in preparation for their New Glenn launch, which is expected no earlier than November of this year. So just shy of a month and maybe a couple weeks here and there. And on that mission, on the New Glenn launch vehicle, they want to include a payload, which is the Blue Ring spacecraft. Now, this spacecraft is basically like a little bit of a platform, similar to what a satellite bus would be, housing all the components of a satellite when it goes into orbit. So this vehicle, it reportedly can hold up to 3 tons, so about 3,000 kilograms of payload. And once again, the FAA is being called out by SpaceX. So when the FAA administrator went to speak before Congress, he reportedly made several false and incorrect statements regarding SpaceX, and SpaceX immediately put out a statement. And amongst other things, they're also calling for a big shakeup and change in FAA practices as well as their leadership. In other news, the Smart Dragon 3, it launches from a sea platform. This was on September 24th. So this is another Chinese rocket called Smart Dragon 3. This is flight Y4. So this is the fourth launch from a sea platform. And this launch occurred in the Yellow Sea, also known as the North Sea. And they put 8 satellites into orbit. Now, this is something that SpaceX originally planned on doing. They were buying and modifying offshore oil rigs to use them as launch platforms. However, that idea was later scrapped and the oil rigs were sold as they moved towards developing and focusing on the Starship program. In other news, we have Radian Aerospace. They're starting some tests with their space plane prototype. It's a reusable prototype. It's called PFV01. It's a Seattle-based company, and on September 25, they've announced that at an unidentified airport in Abu Dhabi, in the United Arab Emirates, they're doing short hops as well as taxi tests. So I don't think this is a real image, but they are working on getting this spacecraft up and running. So the intent for this program is to take off horizontally using a rail sled system that is more than 3 kilometers long, and then return back to Earth after it's released its payload or done whatever it needs to do in space. So I don't believe it'll release payloads, but whatever it needs to do in space, when it returns, it'll land back like a plane. So it can carry up to, according to the company, 5 astronauts, and it can take up to low Earth orbit 2.2 tons. So just a little bit over 2,000 kilograms. In other news, scientists have found that engineered heart tissues that have been sent to the International Space Station, they found that they become weaker and their beating pattern becomes irregular. And that's just after 1 month of being in space. So they found molecular and genetic changes to the tissue that mimic the effects of aging. And this research is important as it will help identify ways to protect the heart during long space flight missions, such as to Mars and beyond. In other news, Mars rover Perseverance recently discovered a strange black and white striped rock on Mars, and it was dubbed Freya Castle. And this is near the Jezero crater. The rock is about 20 centimeters or about 8 inches wide, and it has zebra-like stripes. No matter where you go, we're always fascinated by rocks. Early, hypotheses suggest that the rock's stripes were formed by solidifying from lava or magma, while other hypotheses suggest that it could have been transformed either by heat or pressure or other natural phenomena. In any case, it offers clues to the Mars geological past, and really particularly the volcanic and environmental processes that have shaped Mars. Another science report here. So nuclear blasts could save Earth from a small asteroid. So scientists at the Sandia National Laboratories have proposed a method to deflect large asteroids. They say large asteroids, but I think the size is a little bit small, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. uh, but deflect them as they're heading towards Earth using nuclear explosions. And they're saying instead of destroying the astronaut, the explosion would occur just above its surface and emit X-rays that would vaporize part of the asteroid's surface. And this vaporization in turn would create a force that pushes the asteroid off its course with Earth. So it could be crucial for deflecting asteroids that are up to 2.5 miles wide. And that's especially when we have maybe a limited warning time and lead time to perform a more serious mission. And just everyone was wondering, really, would a nuclear blast save us from the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs? And the answer is no. The asteroid that killed the dinosaurs would have been 2.5 times bigger than what the scientists are proposing could be useful for a nuclear blast in our case, at least with current technology. And would it have been able to stop and save humanity for the asteroid that was in the movie Armageddon? Nope. That asteroid, according to NASA calculations in the movie, would have been 250 times the size. So that one is reportedly 1,000 kilometers wide, according to NASA. I don't think they ever released the exact numbers in the movie, but someone did the calculations. So in essence, we would still need oil riggers to dig a deep hole into an asteroid and throw a nuclear bomb inside of it to save humanity. Where's Bruce Willis? And really, this doesn't take into consideration the angle of attack, material composition of the asteroid, so just some rough math for me. And lastly, the largest black hole jets ever have been discovered. So using radio telescope, we found a black hole in the galaxy far, far away, about 7.5 billion light years from Earth. I'm going to try and say the galaxy name, and I may butcher it. Propyron. And from this galaxy, there's a stream of jets that are emitting from it. And of course, that stream of jets from the black hole contains X-rays, radio waves, other forms of electromagnetic radiation, as well as high energy particles, and they shoot them out into space. And this image that we have here, it showcases really that the jets measured 23 million light years long. And it's actually about 11.5 million light years in either direction, but together 23 million light years. Really, really long. In the bottom right corner, you will see the Milky Way galaxy, and that's just placed there as sort of a reference point to show the sheer size of this. We are very, very small. Our world, our galaxy, us as creatures, and really just the immenseness of space is unforgiving. Wow. Wow is all I can say. And that's it for this week. Please subscribe for more weekly updates. Your man Steve out.